So the first question that we will address is the question of how we can design organizations that are fit for the future, and what are some of the learnings from the pandemic crisis. And in order to answer that question, I think it's important first that we go back to some definitions, because we are talking about business models, we are talking about designing organizations. So if we go to the next slide, here you can see how we make the distinction between what is the business model and the organization design. For the business model, I have used the business model canvas, which really is a one-pager that shows everything that a business model needs to include. So the business model is our reason for being here, how we interact with partners, how we combine activities and resources to create our value proposition for our customers, and ultimately how we make money. So that is the business model. The organization design supports the business model, and the organization design is how we organize ourselves to best support the business. It includes elements such as capabilities, talent, systems, processes, structure, location, governance, but also factors like the ways of working, the culture, the values, and the mindsets. So if we answer the question, how can we design organizations that are fit for the future? We need to think about, how we measure the success of organization design. And we always measure the success of organization design in the context of our business model. So does it really serve our business model? I think the second point here is that as HR professionals, we cannot look at the organization design in isolation and do what we did in another industry and transfer it. We really need to be business leaders. I think more than ever, HR professionals need to understand the business and the industry that they are in. So if you go to the next slide, some conclusions and also observations from the pandemic. Well, first of all, we need to understand the rationale for redesigning the organization. At the moment, there are lots of conversations about, of course, climate change. There are conversations about remote working and the acceleration of digital development. So what does it mean for our business, and how can we, and what are we trying to achieve when redesigning the organization? As I mentioned already, we measure the success with business value. So it's best really to benchmark a before and after, to take metrics like revenues really, or time to serve our customers, or time for certain processes. I think it's important in the org design that really all elements are included. So the capabilities, the structure, the culture, the governance. And what the pandemic has shown us is that we need to understand the vulnerable points of our business model in order to design an organization that is anti-fragile even, or at least resilient, and that addresses these vulnerabilities. I think we have seen vulnerabilities in supply chain, we have seen vulnerabilities in the customer interface, we have seen vulnerabilities, of course, in internal collaboration. So these are points to be very aware of. But also, of course, how can we capture new opportunities? How can we enable innovation? And one thing that has also become very clear in the pandemic is the need for collaboration and communication. And I would say that one of the key questions in designing organizations for the future is to balance out governance with trust and empowerment.